Gap music teaching methods. Proof I have been victimised for being honest. Targeted by Wolverhampton City Council legal team, Ombudsman, Music Hubs, CPS and police. Here is proof that what I teach teaches music 30,000 times faster and more accurate than current teaching methods. This cannot be taught in any school. This video was sent to Wolverhampton City Council legal team and my MP, Jane Stevenson. It proves that education officers employed by Wolverhampton City Council were given deliberate false information from those running Wolverhampton Music Service. I made this clear in my complaint to the Ombudsman and legal team. This is malfeasance in public office and a criminal offence.
How's a major chord made?
1, 3, 5.
How's a minor chord made?
1 flat and a third, fifth.
Now we'll go on to scales. Can you construct the pentatonic minor scale?
1 flat and a third, 4, fifth, flat and 7th, 8th.
And the blues scale?
1 flat and a third, 4, flat and a fifth, fifth, flat and 7th, 8th.
Very good. Open your eyes now. That's very good.
We will now check out if all 30 key signatures can be worked out in full correctly. Here we have an ABRSM publication, The AB Guide to Music Theory Part 1 by Eric Taylor. On page 26 we have key signatures. For some reason they only go up to 6 sharps and 6 flats. This is a total of 28 key signatures. At Gap Music Teaching, we teach all 30 key signatures. We will now check out a few random key signatures and see if they correspond to ABRSM music publication. Here we have highlighted our key signatures containing 5 sharps. Mia, a Year 5 pupil from St Christopher's Primary in Codsall, has filled in this test paper. I must point out she was only taught the basic musical alphabet that contains just 12 notes. This will prove that when learning music using Gap music teaching methods, they use and know all 21 notes used in music, not the basic 12 notes. All of this in primary music education. Here she has indicated that this is in the key of B major or G sharp minor. According to the ABRSM publication, 5 sharps is in the key of G sharp minor or B major. That is 100% correct. We will now rearrange the layout and bring in our other key signatures test paper. This test paper indicates that Mia has been taught where every note is on the grand staff. Not only that, but she fully understands key signatures and knows what accidental notes to play in all 30 key signatures. Here we have highlighted key signatures containing 5 flats. Mia has indicated that this is in the key signature of D flat major or B flat minor. Here we have a count of 5 flats on our test paper. Now let's check out our ABRSM publication. ABRSM indicate that 5 flats indicate that this is the key signatures of B flat minor or D flat major. That is 100% correct. We will now enlarge the test paper. Mia has indicated that the accidental notes used in these 2 key signatures are B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat and G flat. The ABRSM publication has indicated that these 5 notes are used in these key signatures. That is 100% correct. Marie Besant, OCR GCSE author, confirmed test papers like these showed to her at the 2016 Music Expo were a 100% pass at GCSE music theory. So why has she not informed the government education officers that it is now possible to teach primary pupils to read sheet music composed in any key signature in primary school music lessons? Here in Doc J536, the school music curriculum, she only wants 6 key signatures learnt. How can she expect children to compose music if they are not taught what notes to use or what key signature to compose their song in? Unbelievable. Now we will look at our final key signature. Mia has indicated that 6 sharps is in the key of signature of F sharp major or D sharp minor. The ABRSM publication states that this is in the key of F sharp major or D sharp minor. That is 100% correct. ABRSM conform with the music curriculum, OCR GCSE Music Specification J536 2012. The author of these papers was Marie Besant. These test papers are designed to be filled in with any random key signature. This test paper was filled in the key of A. This was filled in with the key of B. The arrows on Doc J535 show it complies with sharps, flats and natural notes. It also complies with the other modules listed. We will cover these now. Intervals, chromatic scale, major scale, blues scale, are not listed the pentatonic minor scale. Every one of these scales can now be worked out. This test paper, along with others, were given to those responsible for education at the City Council. It would appear that Mr. Smalley, the head of Wolverhampton Music Service, has lied to City Council Education Office. This is malfeasance in public office and a criminal offence. Now we have Mr. Smalley giving deliberate false information to Duke Connell, a lead lawyer at Wolverhampton City Council. All of this so they can protect the funding by fraud and deception. Here we have the chromatic scale in the key of B. Here it is pulled from the basicmusictheory.com website. The child is using the starter music alphabet. This contains the 12 basic musical notes, so we will accept harmonic equivalents. She is a beginner in music lessons. She has named all 13 notes correctly. Now move on to the intervals. Unison, minor second, minor third, major third, perfect fourth, diminished fifth, perfect fifth, minor 6, major 6, minor 7, major 7, octave. That is a perfect pass. The school curriculum only requires about 6 or 7 of these to be learnt. The major scale: B, C sharp, E flat, E, F sharp, A flat, B flat, B. That is 100% correct. We will now check it matches the intervals. Number 2, C sharp equals major 2. Correct. Number 5, F sharp equals perfect fifth. Correct. Finally, number 7, B flat equals a major 7. Correct. We will now check the chords. A major chord: B, E flat, F sharp. That is correct. B minor chord: B, D, F sharp. That is correct. A B sus4 chord: B, E, F sharp. That is correct. And finally, B major 7 is B, E flat, F sharp, B flat. That is 100% correct. We will now check our pentatonic minor scale in the key of B. The notes we have are B, D, E, F sharp, A and B. We will now check the blues scale. The notes we have are B, D, E, F, F sharp, A and B. That is 100% correct. We have just proved that Mr. Smalley is a liar. He has lied in a witness statement that will be used in court action against me. Michael Gove, the Education Secretary in 2010, said, "It's a sad fact that too many children in state schools are denied the opportunity to learn to play a musical instrument. Evidence suggests that learning an instrument can improve numeracy, literacy and behaviour. But more than that, it is simply unfair that the joy of musical discovery should be preserved of those whose parents can afford it." Mr. Henley issued a public call for evidence today, seeking the views of parents, schools and music specialists, he said. In 2010, both Mr. Gove, the Education Secretary, and Mr. Henley issued a public call for evidence. This was to improve music education in schools. What a joke! Pupils can get an A at GCSE music without knowing a crotchet from a quaver. This clip was pulled from a newspaper in 2008. Proof: this is the state of how music is taught in schools. Music teachers being paid $25,000 per year to teach a load of crap in schools. Mail Online. School music teaching is meagre and inadequate. Ofsted claims pupils are poorly taught despite millions being spent to improve lessons. Proof 2013, hundreds of millions spent and Ofsted state music taught in schools, both meagre and inadequate. I am an expert on school music education and what is taught in schools is useless today in 2022. Musicians Union, fixing music education. This was at the 2018 Music Expo. In response to the Musicians Union's education report, September 2017, which detailed systematic failings in music provision, the Musicians Union have commissioned Dr. Jonathan Savage of Manchester Metropolitan University to gather some hard data around these issues with the aim of fully understanding the problems and making recommendations for improvements. Proof 2018, Dr. Savage was asked to look at the systematic failings in music provision. 2012 to 2018, a failure to teach music correctly in schools. Ofsted HMI Lead Music, Mark Phillips, December 2021. The man the government rely on for music information. You can hear what he states about music taught in schools in 2021.
Let me give you a real example from a Year 9 music class seen earlier this year. This was in a school where music is given 1 hour every week for all of years 7 to 9. No carousel. The topic for the term was called Performing as a Rock Band, and the premise was that the pupils could choose a song. They'd be given a set of instruments, some written notes including chord sequences and a stave notated melody line and a recording of the song. And their task was to learn the component parts and then put them together to make a performance. Now, in a class of around 30, there were 7 groups dispersed in practice rooms, the corridor, and in the main classroom. The group I'm going to talk about, a group of 4 pupils, had chosen a song that had recently been high in the charts. It was a catchy, popular number, and it was based entirely around a 4-chord sequence from the circular fifths, repeated over and over again. Just 4 chords in the song, repeats over and over again. The group had been given the chord sequence A minor, D minor 7, G7, C, and were putting this together using a drum kit, a keyboard, bass guitar, and a solo singer. Now, because the 7 groups in the class were doing different songs, the whole class activity that preceded the practical work was talking in vague terms about what makes a good performance. You've got to listen to each other. You've got to make sure the vocals can be heard. You've got to be confident, smile. It's all about the image and so on. The teacher had told me earlier in that day that the pupils should know the chords. They've done some simple drumming work in year 8, and they all enjoyed singing. So this project was all about bringing all this knowledge together in the performance. But it became very clear this knowledge was not secure, because the keyboard player struggled to play the chords. The vocalist struggled with the complex, agile vocal line, and they simply couldn't put it together. The girl with the bass guitar asked me, "Sir, how do you play the chord of A minor on the bass guitar?" Now, the teacher was working hard. He was working so hard to manage the rooms, to keep everything going, to be encouraging, but the fact of the matter was that he was not actually teaching music. He was just facilitating an activity. He was the supervisor, not a teacher. You'll not be surprised to know that the quality of performance was really poor. There was no way it was ever going to sound like the original song, which was performed, by the way, by a group of 7 singers with vocal lines that wove in and out of each other like an agile game of tag. And what's more, the original, which the pupils had the recording of, had been asked to listen to, was actually not in C major, it was in E major. And the chords in the recording was C sharp minor, F sharp minor 7, B7, and E. They knew it sounded different, but they couldn't say why. And the saddest thing of all was what one boy said to me at the end of the lesson. He said, "Sir, I really used to like this song, but when this is over, I never want to hear it again." And I recorded that in my evidence. Now, one of the aims of this project, of course, was to take music the pupils knew and use that as conduit for engaging them in music education. And that's not a bad thing. In fact, if I were back in the classroom teaching myself, there's an odds-on chance I would use that same song in my teaching. It's a great piece of music. But it's not about the image, it's not about the style, it's not about the coolness of pretending to be in a pop group. That song had a really important musical core, the circle of fifths chord sequence. Now just imagine a year 9 project called Circles, for example, building on the work done in primary chords early key stage 3 and incrementally introducing the pupils to the circle of fifths, the chain of sevenths, letting them make up, improvise and build their own compositions around their own 4-chord circle, showing them how Bach used the circle of fifths and Brandenburg too, and then showing them how the circle of fifths had been used in that particular song which they knew. Just imagine the teacher actually teaching, imparting his expertise and leading the class through this new magical knowledge, helping the pupils understand music they were familiar with, introducing them to new music, helping them relate it to what they already know, enabling them to apply the knowledge of the chords, the circle of fifths, the chain of sevenths, and applying it to get their own creative responses and then making their own musical meaning. How exciting is that? But also imagine those pupils who have been in that poor experience. When it comes to choosing their GCSE options, imagine them describing to their parents that experience they've had in this Key Stage 3 music classroom. If you're a 14-year-old pupil or their parent, how seriously would you consider music as a GCSE option? Then we take you now to a primary school, a Year 5 classroom. The lesson is billed as being all about Latin music. The pupils are all playing glockenspiels and have learnt a simple melody using notes B, A and G. The backing track they're playing along with is certainly in a Latin American style. But the problem is that what they're playing is not. The melody they're playing, and it was notated in the same way that I'm showing on the screen there, uses straight crotchets and the occasional semi-breve. There's no swaying, syncopated rhythm that's typical of the style. And what's more, once they've played it through, they play it again, and they play it again, and they play it again. And the teacher says, well done, let's play again. Well done, let's play again. And after a while, the teacher says, we're now going to do your improvisations using notes B, A, and G. And everyone in the class is going to have a go. So on goes the backing track, and the improvisation starts. The teacher points to each pupil in turn to improvise. Each pupil is allowed to improvise for between 1 and 4 bars. There's no rhyme or reason before it's somebody else's turn. And, it would be accurate to say the responses were random. No sense of rhythm, no sense of melodic shape. And there was no guidance. The teacher said, just make something up, improvise. Just make something up in the space. And the assessment given by the teacher was that if you can improvise using one of those 3 notes, B, A, or G, you get a bronze level. If you improvise on 2 notes, you get a silver. And if you can improvise on all 3 notes, that's gold. That's not how music works. That was not musical teaching or musical learning. And of course, the pupils were playing instruments. They were engaged in so far as they were occupied. They were on task insofar as they were doing what the teacher asked them, but their musical development was limited. The lesson was supposedly about Latin music, but they weren't really learning anything deep or meaningful about the Latin musical style. And the melody they were playing was simple in pitch and rhythm. Once they had learnt it, and it was clear they'd learnt it some lessons ago, they just repeated it again and again. In terms of standards, this is Year 5. We should be expecting so much more of 10-year-olds. Just think how sophisticated some 10-year-olds' writing and reading can be. Think of some of the complicated maths problems we ask Year 5 to solve. Shouldn't we be ambitious in classroom music? Because in maths terms, this lesson was like saying, what's 2 plus 2? 4. Well done. What's 2 plus 2? 4. Well done. What's 2 plus 2? 4. Well done. 4 is 2 plus what? 2. Well done. Now, just give me any old number, improvise, shout out any old number at me. Well done. We wouldn't accept that in mathematics, so why do we accept it in music? Colleagues, we need to take back control of music education, not from government or from our teachers, but from ourselves. We need to be very clear that simply providing activities, simply having music on the timetable is not enough. Whatever time is given to music on the timetable, we need to make that time worthwhile. We need to recognise there is a high level knowledge and skill needed to teach and learn music. Reducing the role of the music teacher to that of a mere facilitator is doing our profession a disservice. It devalues the skill and the importance of teaching music. We wouldn't accept a football coach simply setting up a game, giving the pupils a ball and telling them to get on with it themselves. Now, I understand that challenges that schools have, and primary teachers in particular, have to cover the whole curriculum. They cannot be experts in everything. I get that. I know that these teachers need the scaffold of a reliable scheme of work and resources to guide them. But in the primary school that I talked about, the teacher who was non-specialist was using a scheme of work that says, in its preamble, anyone can teach these materials, but I disagree. If you're teaching music, you need to know and show what it means to model musically. It's not true that just anyone can teach music or anyone can teach a scheme of work. Because as with all schemes of work, even the model music curriculum, the resources are only ever as good as the teachers delivering them. Schemes of work can't be taught by just anyone, at least not successfully. Music teachers need good CPD, and that includes building up their confidence to lead musically and not just supervise activity. A good music curriculum and a good quality of music education requires pupils to be taught properly and with deep musical knowledge. Remember, Ofsted doesn't judge teachers, we judge the quality of education. Yes, teaching is part of that, but we need to make sure that curriculum teachers are given a rigorous and deep training to deliver the curriculum musically.
He now wants what I teach taught in schools. Here is the proof. This letter dated 2015. Proof Mr. Kramer, Director of Education, was lied to. It reads, I have been passed your correspondence addressed to Councillor Roger Lawrence to respond to. I have read the contents of your letter and accompanying information, but I do not agree with your assertions. I believe that you have contacted a number of councillors, our previous chief executive, and a number of education officers who have been unable to agree with your findings. I am therefore not willing to take any further action. Yours sincerely, Julian Kramer, Director of Education. Here is an email from James McElligott to Councillor Ian Claymore. It states, but he refuses to accept his approach does not accord with the school curriculum orthodoxy. This is now my complaint to the Ombudsman. In my complaint, I clearly state that the music experts the City Council rely on, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Kelligott, Councillor Dark, have been given false information. This is deliberate false and misleading information. The music experts they rely on for advice is giving them false and misleading information. On this page, I state to the Ombudsman, it is obvious that lies are being told. I am aware that he does not have a clue what I am stating. He needs to get a music expert to find out if malfeasance in public office has been committed. I am totally aware of what the Ombudsman can and cannot investigate. This does not concern music teaching. It is about education officers being told a complete pack of lies so fraud can take place. The Ombudsman wrote, Mr. A regards the provision of music education in the council schools as inadequate. He states that he has developed and delivered a course which, if adopted in the council schools, will improve the teaching of music. He complains that the council has refused to accept his assertions and failed to allow him to prove his claims. The Ombudsman cannot investigate Mr. A's complaint. The law provides that she cannot investigate any action concerning instruction or curriculum in any school. This prevents investigation of complaints about how or what pupils are taught. As Mr. A is such a complaint, the Ombudsman cannot investigate it. The Ombudsman can investigate if City Council employees have breached their employees' code of conduct. He can also investigate claims if the Wolverhampton City Council constitution has been violated. This has clearly taken place. Wolverhampton Music Service have lied to me and City Council legal team. This has resulted in my human rights being violated. I have every right to stand my ground and challenge every decision. The legal team have taken me to court based on false information. This has resulted in me being convicted on trumped-up charges. This court bundle was given to me by Wolverhampton City Council legal team. It contains all the evidence in witness statements made against me. The vast majority of it has been over-exaggerated, about 150 pages. It contains Kate Pritchard's second witness statement given to police. So why was Emma Reynolds' statement report to the police not placed in this folder? It would have proved Kate Pritchard a liar. They did not want me to see this. These documents were also given to me by Wolverhampton City Council legal team. The red arrow indicates where Emma Reynolds' statement to police was hidden. You hoped I would not find it hidden amongst all of this paperwork. The police never mentioned this in my interview in custody. Here is Emma Reynolds' statement to the police. At no time was I ever informed that Emma Reynolds did not want to see me. It turns out that the police sat outside one of her surgeries on the presumption I would turn up. That is why I contacted her office to make an appointment. That is the correct method to see her. Emma Reynolds is my MP. All I have done is attempt to arrange a 45-minute meeting with Mr. A fully qualified ABRSM Grade 8 music and singing teacher. The 15 minutes she allows is totally inadequate. I had 2 meetings with her and she would not allow any more time. How can you look at this in 15 minutes? I have acted and abided by the law. Kate Pritchard has lied and failed to tell the police when Mr. A gave her proof. This document was prepared by the CPS. They are fully aware that there was no witness to what was said. They are fully aware that Kate Pritchard's statement contradicts what Emma Reynolds stated to police. The CPS are pally-pally with Alexandra Watts, and this is why they hid Emma Reynolds' statement in these documents to secure a conviction against me. This should have never gone to court. No evidence. The police officer states there were no witnesses to what was said by the offender at the time as the IP was in the reception area with him. They mentioned in their report that at one point I turned up at Parliament. This is true. I attended the Music Expo on the 7th of March. Marie Besant, OCR GCSE exam author, was in attendance. You now know what everything I teach is correct. I wanted to see Marie, Madeleine, and appear in the House of Lords and give him a document. I cannot remember his name. They were all in attendance at the expo. I wanted to see Marie Besant and ask her why she is helping Liz Stafford sell fake music courses to obtain money using deception and failing every child. On approaching her at the OCR stand, she called over security and made false allegations that I threatened her. They asked me to leave and I complied. Now all of this in 2019. Number 33. On the 7th of March 2019, the defendant was removed and restrained by security at the Expo event after making verbal threats to Marie Besant at OCR, who are the awarding body for GCSEs and A-levels. That is pure fabrication. Here is Wolverhampton City Council legal team, 33, evidence against me. Now why would I threaten her? She was aware that I knew she was part of a huge fraud to obtain money using both fraud and deception. I had a chat with Madeleine. Can violin and cello be taught in the school music classroom in old class music tuition correctly? I emphasised correctly. Because I was evicted at about 11:30, I went to Parliament. I asked if Emma was available. and wanted her to hand the Lord a document I had made for him. I was informed she was not available. I could not do this at the expo. I handed the document to the post. I then watched Parliament from the public gallery, had a good look around, then left. Is any of this illegal? Here is Madeleine, choosing the right methods and resources for successful instrument teaching. Here is proof that the London 2019 Music Expo had taken place. All of this proves I attended the London 2019 Music Expo and proof I went to Parliament. You have heard what Ofsted lead music has stated. Music taught in schools, useless. Here we have the Music Curriculum Conference. This conference is now in its 6th year. What Mark Phillips states is that music taught for the last 6 years is absolutely useless. This Curriculum Music Conference took place on March the 18th of 2022. Marie Besant is giving a talk at this event. She knows these CPD courses will not improve music in schools. This is a fake music course. I am aware that you know I have been misdiagnosed with persistent delusional disorders. This has been diagnosed to help fraud and deception take place. How can I have persistent delusional disorders if everything I have stated is 100% correct? That is why someone else is making this complaint. They are a honest, law-abiding citizen of the UK. They and others have looked at the evidence. It is on thousands of YouTube videos and ABRSM music publications and numerous music websites. What I teach cannot be disputed in a court of law. It is blatantly obvious that Wolverhampton City Council legal team are attempting to protect City Council employees who are committing fraud. You at the CPS have been duped into securing a conviction against me that is illegal. By the time this video will be made public, I will have a couple of ABRSM Grade 8 uni students join me in my business venture. Both have cello and violin music degrees. Wait till they both make complaints. Finally, Google Martha Mitchell effect. The Martha Mitchell effect refers to the process by which a psychiatrist, psychologist, mental health clinician, or other medical professional labels a patient's accurate perception of real events as delusional, resulting in misdiagnosis. Remember President Nixon and the Watergate? Mitchell was the wife of John Mitchell, United States Attorney General in the Nixon administration. When she alleged that the White House officials were engaged in illegal activities, her claims were attributed to mental illness. Ultimately, however, the facts of the Watergate scandal vindicated her and garnered her the label the Cassandra of Watergate. Now, as reinforcement of proof that what I have said is true, here is my final video. Here is a statement Emma Reynolds gave to the police on the 22nd of March 2019. It reads, "She has stated that although she does not want to meet with him, he has persisted in trying to arrange to see her. She has expressed concerns for the offender's mental health and is worried about possible repercussions." Wolverhampton City Council legal team hid this witness statement in the police log files. They knew if my legal team read this, the witness statement made to police by Kate Pritchard would prove this is false evidence given to police. The police have taken this statement very serious and believe I am a threat to Emma Reynolds and her staff. Because of this false statement, this is what happened according to Alexandra Watts, Wolverhampton City Council legal team solicitor. It reads, Number 38. As a result of this incident, the Parliamentary Protection Force has become involved, and the defendant was also arrested on the morning of Saturday the 23rd of March. I will now prove that I have not committed any crime. All I have done is make 6 attempts to make a 45-minute meeting with my MP, Emma Reynolds, over a 6-month period. I will prove that no one informed me that Emma Reynolds, MP, did not want to meet me. Every time I spoke to Kate Pritchard, she always informed me the appointment book was full. She deliberately lied to me. I will prove that the police were given false information. Emma Reynolds MP only allows a 15-minute meeting. I had 2 meetings with her, and after the 15 minutes was up, she would not allow any more time. I pointed out to Kate Pritchard that this was totally inadequate and requested a 45-minute meeting to look at the evidence correctly. On the 5th visit, I took an ABRSM Grade 8 music teacher. He informed Kate Pritchard everything in the test papers were correct. Why did Kate Pritchard ignore this evidence and fail me? Here is Kate Pritchard's witness statement in full. It was supplied to me by Wolverhampton City Council legal team. Well after I was arrested on the morning of Saturday the 23rd of March. This statement is dated the 27th of March. On the 24th of March, when I was interviewed by police, they already had a witness statement from Kate Pritchard. So there's something wrong going on here. We will now read it out in full. Now see if you can work out when Kate Pritchard informs me that Emma Reynolds does not want to see me. I hope you have those special spy glasses that can read things written in invisible ink. Her statement reads, Number 1. I am the office manager in Emma Reynolds MP's constituency office. I have held this post for around 6 months. I am responsible for managing the office and the caseworker and communications officer who also work there. I make this statement from my own knowledge except where otherwise stated. Number 2. I was aware the defendant had an open case with Emma for some time. I recognised him as I had had some previous dealings with him and knew that he could be difficult to deal with. I am aware that he can also be verbally aggressive, although until this incident happened I have never experienced this myself. Number 3. On the morning of Tuesday the 19th of March 2019, I was in the office and the doorbell went. I identified through the CCTV that it was the defendant at the door. I said to the team that I would go and answer the door and talk to the defendant, because I knew the team were apprehensive about seeing him, so I decided as the manager that I should answer the door. Number 4. The defendant came into the foyer area. He asked if he could see Emma at her surgery on 22nd of March 2019. I then said I did not think there were any appointments, so I went into our secure office area to check. After a minute or so, I went back to the defendant and advised him that there were no appointments left. The defendant then asked if he could see her the following week. I explained that there wasn't a surgery that week. The defendant then said he would be happy to go and see her in Parliament. I explained that Emma was not able to see constituents for surgery appointments in Parliament as she held surgeries in her constituency only. I later found out that in a previous week the defendant had turned up at Parliament to see Emma and had been turned away. The defendant then came distracted by a poster advertising local councillor surgeries, and he recognised Councillor Butt. He pointed to Councillor Butt, and in doing so he leaned in quite close to me. He then referenced that he had been at a PAC meeting and was derogatory about Councillor Butt. He was ranting that Councillor Butt had not been helpful. He then mentioned Councillor Claire Sim, who had also been at the PAC meeting, and mentioned that she had been smiling at him throughout the meeting and he would like to wipe the smile off her face. This was the first moment I felt that the mood had shifted, and I found him quite sinister. I have met him 3 or 4 times, but this time he seemed more agitated. He then said, "I just feel like getting a gun and shooting them all." I didn't get a sense who he was referring to as them all. I replied that if the defendant did, he would just hurt innocent people and ruin his life and his family's life. He replied to say they're not innocent. At this point I felt intimidated. I had my back against the office door and he was very close to me. The defendant then continued to talk about his music education and conspiracy theories, and said he would get some paperwork from the car, and then he left and went onto the car park to his car. I felt very unnerved and unsure of the best thing to do. The front door is quite flimsy and could be kicked in easily. I felt it was best to follow him out to the car park in case he got a weapon. I could see the defendant leaning over the driver's seat into the passenger footwell. He was appearing to reach for something, but I could not see what. I then saw him approaching the office again. This time he was carrying papers that he handed to me. He spoke to me about the conspiracy theory. At this point I was just relieved that he was only carrying papers. I said I would speak to Emma and he left. I spoke to Emma on Thursday as I was worried that I might be overreacting. I was concerned about the escalation in his behaviour. Emma asked me to contact the Chief Superintendent for Wolverhampton as Emma meets with him. Number 12. The defendant emailed Emma on Friday, but it was just one of his general rant emails. I understand that the police tried to arrest the defendant but were unable to find him. And finally, she states, I handed myself into the police on the morning of Saturday the 23rd of March. I believe that the facts stated in this witness statement are true. Signed Kate Pritchard, dated 27th of the 3rd, 19. This is proof that Kate Pritchard wrote 2 witness statements. Now, when did she inform me that Emma Reynolds did not want to meet me? I informed my legal team and the police that on 6 occasions, every time I went to make an appointment to see Emma Reynolds, Kate Pritchard always informed me the appointment book was full. And I stated to Kate Pritchard that comments I made about how useless city councillors were and MPs failing their constituents they want shooting, then made references to how they come banging on your door, promise you this and that to get elected. I was aware that I was being lied to but could not prove it. At this time, me and my legal team had no idea that Emma Reynolds made a witness statement to the police. The witness statement by Kate Pritchard is part truth, part lies, and she has failed to inform the police that on at least 6 occasions she had deliberately lied to me. She states, I said to the team that I would go and answer the door and speak to the defendant. At no time does she state that any member of the team informs her that Emma Reynolds MP does not want to see me. All I asked for was for her to make an appointment for a 45-minute meeting so Emma Reynolds could look at the test papers given to Wolverhampton City Council with an ABRSM Grade 8 private music teacher. Once a month for 6 months, I emailed Emma for a 45-minute meeting and called at the office in an attempt to make an appointment. At no point was I ever informed that Emma Reynolds did not want to see me. On every visit, Kate Pritchard informed me every time that the appointment book was full. What Emma Reynolds stated to the police was false information that made me look like I was a very dangerous person. I had no idea that my MP, Emma Reynolds, did not want to see me. As for my mental health, had she seen both me and the ABRSM Grade 8 music teacher, she would have discovered everything I have stated to be 100% correct. Kate Pritchard mentions my conspiracy theories. They were not conspiracy theories, they were claims that fraud and deception were taking place and the only way to find out if this was correct was have a meeting with an ABRSM Grade 8 music teacher. Kate Pritchard and Emma Reynolds failed to represent me honestly and fairly. Here are 2 emails from Emma Reynolds MP. Where do they state that she does not want to meet me? These are automatically generated replies. In court, my duty solicitor informed me that these comments Kate Pritchard said I had stated were very serious. He informed me that the magistrates were more likely to believe an MP and her caseworker than me. He persuaded me to plead guilty to a lesser charge. In court, the prosecution read out Emma Reynolds' statement and informed the magistrates that when Kate Pritchard informed me that she didn't want to meet me, that is when I made the comments. It is blatantly obvious that Wolverhampton City Council got Kate Pritchard to make a false account of what I stated to get me into trouble. I live in Wolverhampton and abide by the law. You have now seen my 2 videos that what I teach complies with .gov music teaching, and proof that both some ed teachers and school music teachers have deliberately failed children in music education. I have only stood my ground and have refused to budge, and have stood firm in my claims that fraud and deception are taking place. Here we have Wolverhampton City Council Code of Conduct. So why have both the police and Wolverhampton City Council legal team hid a witness statement that is completely false from me and my legal team that has been used in court against me? They know this would bring false charges against me and will result in me getting a criminal record and a fine. This violates my human rights and has resulted in City Council employees breaking their code of conduct. Code of conduct for employees. Local government employees are expected to give the highest possible standard of service to the public. So what did I say to Kate Pritchard about Councillor Alan Butt? First of all, I never seen him at the PAC meeting. Alan Butt informed me at a party at Emma's office that he was having guitar lessons with the same person who taught my son guitar. Alan must now be aware that what is being taught in schools is useless. This guitar teacher teaches children who have school music lessons and cannot believe what is being taught in the school music lessons. I spoke to Alan about this and what he was being taught. He refuses to say the truth. So what did I say to Kate Pritchard about Councillor Claire Sim? I informed Claire Sim that refusing to meet me and look at the evidence was a failure to every child. I informed her every time we have a PAP meeting it is all the same old crap and being told there is no money available to tackle the issues. I pointed out she is useless and a waste of time. She had a big cheesy grin on her face and nodded in agreement with every word I stated. I pointed out to her that I will wipe that smile off her face by proving everything I have stated to be 100% correct. Kate Pritchard never mentioned this part.